Hello and welcome back, folks. A very quick break as we get some casters swapped out. One, exactly, that one. Me, Sir Waltham, joined still by Twin Salty Twin. Hello, welcome. We are here, Canisius versus University of Tennessee for our third game today.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one as, we've had two 4-map series so far today. I'm not sure if this one's going to add to that list or not, as, Canisius has had a rough season to say the least. They're 1-12. We've seen fight from them, though, and any team on a bad day can be caught up by a lower team, and we've seen it time and time again. We almost saw it with DePaul. They got a map in the last series. I'm very curious to see how it goes today for Canisius and Tennessee. As we look at the map pool, Lijiang, Hollywood, and Volsky will be those first three maps, and then if we need to go to them later on, Route 66 and Busan will be our deciding maps.
Very interesting to see. Yeah, you mentioned those, sometimes the lower ranked teams can catch a good team on a bad day. We've been seeing a lot of that these last couple of weeks here, Twin. I know that you and I have, I believe it was the Colorado, the team that upset Colorado, Wichita, if I'm not mistaken. And then Hawaii came out with an excellent match last week as well. So who knows? Maybe somebody pulls a card that, surprises, both us and the people at home. I'd certainly love to see it.
Oh, I would love to see, Canisius get in here, even if they just win a map. I think that's a win for Canisius. Because, again, they're 1-12 entering this week. They were 0-7 in the MAC. They got knocked out first round of the MAC championships that were 2 weeks ago. It's not like this season's been like, oh, we're undefeated. It's not like Tennessee's season where they have really, exceeded expectations. 11-3. They beat UTA a few weeks ago. You and I were on the cast for that game, and it was fantastic. We've seen them a little shaky here and there, but overall, this Tennessee team, I think more for them is just solidifying a game plan for these next few weeks as they get ready for the postseason.
You're absolutely right on that one. And I feel like this is a situation where Canisius has just as much to gain as Tennessee might have to lose. We are looking at that these last games of the season. And, Canisius could get a huge, gust of wind in their sails. It's not going to affect their standings so much. Like you said, they only won one. But so far, we're going to see how that chimes out as we are looking at Gardens to be our first map.
Yeah, Gardens will be the first map of the day, and it will be Canisius, at least at the moment, just teasing the normal rush with the Symmetra teleporter to try and either get them on a spawn early or to get them to point Tennessee. A little bit more of a scattered composition with the hubs on the far with Noodles in that pharmacy, and then the rest of the team and a traditional dive. Canisius is going to make their way on the point first and set up those Symmetra turrets, but awaiting them is going to be Noodles into hubs in the air.
Gotta be honest, I don't like the positioning of these sim turrets. Already we can see UTK able to get position onto point. That's because those turrets are at that immediate entryway. They're posted at that halfway point, meaning that UTK can just contest for free. No threat of taking damage through it. And Seth's gonna be taking down Melly Monster. In the meantime, Canisius started off on point, but they're not gonna be able to hold it, and at least part of it's because of those turret placements.
Yeah, the turret placements gets them a little bit there. Definitely not where you want to put them. You want to have maybe one or two at that initial choke, maybe one in that middle platform as well, just because you want to keep the consistent pressure. You want them to keep turning their heads, taking pressure away from you and putting the eyes somewhere else. Now Special K and Flick at TV both going to swap over to DPS to try and counter the hubs in the air. But it doesn't matter when Zenith is in your backline. Already gets one, tries throwing the pulse bomb to get another, and Zenith.
As soon as you see the rewinds come through and realize Zenith hasn't really moved that much, maybe you know that pulse bomb is not going to work out for them. But it will work out for Canisius if they can capitalize on this man advantage. That Tracer will be back fast. However, Basher just taking a wailing to hubs, dropping the rocket barrage, and no Baptiste Immortality Field to try to mitigate that damage. It's going to be getting 3 kills, and UTK going to be cleaning up the rest.
Yeah, UTK clean everything up. Oh, Zenith almost jumped off again. They're able to.
Oh, man.
And yeah, what a beautiful barrage coming in from the hubs. The Immortality Field not even able to be used as they were so focused on getting damage to the amplification matrix. Lucky Dog, they're going to send the bomb over. It's going to hit the roof. Still able to get Flick. And now it'll be the cleanup coming in. Everybody just converging on the position of these last few members. Nathaniel just can't get into the door. You can see the hammer on the doorstep, just not able to get back. And Tennessee, This is exactly what you want to see from a top tier team looking at genuine, top four, championship potential for the postseason. You want to see this kind of clean game, not many mistakes, and
Oh
they run the
no.
tempo.
Zenith already getting nestled into those softer, more vulnerable at close range members. Melee Monster included, being the first one to drop, just like we saw first fight. Zenith not going to be rewinding into the bomb this time, but not finding too much with it either. Going to be getting that Zarya on cleanup, and UTK just going to so far be continuing this hold on Gardens, getting it 100 to 0% here, Twin.
Yeah, 100 to 0. I think the only time Canisius touched was when they TP'd to point early. I think Nathaniel touched a little bit right before the barrage came out. But this is just Tennessee's world, and we're living in it so far, as they're just doing exactly what they want when they want. And Canisius really just can't do anything about it. You can tell the rush is what they like to run. They don't really like to run anything else, at least up to this point. And so that's going to continue on. It appears in Night Market not going to run the Symmetra, even though it would be nice for them to get to point first, but instead going to keep the double hit scan, thinking they're running against a far. Instead, Zenith is on the Genji into Hubs, making their way over to that Mei to try and use the walls on these close chokes.
And, we see it in Kings Row. You necessarily can't fault it here on Night Market. Nathaniel immediately gets sectioned off by a large portion of their team. Zenith going to be getting a nice dash cleanup with the triple throw from the Shurikens. Lucky Dog now with the pile driver kill. Canisius already bleeding with manpower. Going to be very difficult for them to continue. And right now that D.Va's just looking to get away, overshoots the entrance, but is able to back up and even gets the kill on the Paravir on the back end.
Yeah, gets the kill on the Paravir, but not able to get too much more from it. Point will eventually be captured, and now UTK can hold it close here, and Upstate Stew will be demaxed. It'll take a little bit longer for this full Canisius side to get back together, but at this early stage of the round, ain't going to matter too much. Tennessee not having any ultimates quite yet. Zenith 3/4 of the way to that blade, and now Basher with a lot of poke damage. Going to have that Gravitic Flux in this fight. Going to take advantage of this Mei wall as well from the Hubs, who are just patiently waiting on the other side of that corner. Not sure if Nathaniel knows it quite yet, but they may have a little icy surprise around that corner.
And we didn't talk about it, Twin, but that was the longest D.Va stagger we've seen in a long time. That was like they had to wait for Upstate to build that D.Va mech for so long, and now Nathaniel once again getting sectioned off, pile driven into the ground. Gravitic Flux comes in, just holding Flicka Ghost high up into the sky, and the cleanup is there for Tennessee.
Yeah, the cleanup's there. I believe they hit 4 or 5. I think one of the only people that did not hit was Nathaniel, who did get walled off, and the focus fire is there. Canisius, they even get walled into spawn. That is just a new level of like, all right, we're going to wait a little bit longer. Canisius, now going to try something different. Going to go on the high ground. They're not even going to get allowed to try that, though. Nanoblade comes in. Able to get one, gonna try and look for a second, not able to. The aggression from UTK, think, yeah, you think, you're finally in the back foot, we're just gonna press W even faster.
This is the second time we've seen UTK go and touch the spawn doors of Canisius College in a map where you don't typically see it, but Zenith continuing to hold high on the Noodle Shop, throwing those shurikens, seeing what they can find, and nobody from Canisius seems to have the, I don't want to say mechanics, but has the wherewithal to get the stuns onto Zenith. The Blizzard coming out right at spawn. All the ultimates seem to be coming out just for anybody to try to break through. Folks, you at home can't see it, but Twin Salty is losing his mind right now. Not even gonna matter. Another 100 to 0. This time on Night Market, meaning that Li Xiong, all Tennessee.
It is all Tennessee as they just keep it rolling. Basher gets the play of the game on the sim. It's going to be this Gravitic Flux from a few fights ago. And knows the Reinhardt, they don't have to worry about. They take out the Brig, easy pickings. Ash gets taken out with the landing. And from there, it's just converging on everybody from Canisius College. It's kind of what we expected. Oh, that's an old picture, but that's a pretty accurate representation of my face during that game. This is exactly what you want to see from Tennessee. This is kind of what we expected in this game. I don't think to that degree. I didn't think, blizzarding close to the spawn doors, dragon blading in the open area. I wasn't expecting it, but in a way, I like the aggression because there is times where you want to be that aggressive. It did not allow Canisius to touch. They didn't even get close to touching because they were getting pushed so far. Oh, they did get a screenshot. Well done,
There it
Time Delay.
is.
Well done. I will applaud our producer. But it's exactly what we want from Tennessee and Canisius. It's back to the drawing board. That's about all I can say.
Yeah, I don't know how upset you can be if you're Canisius going into this situation. I do think that I have to tend to agree with you. Tennessee double touching spawn doors on the 2 maps we saw was pretty oppressive. I think it was amplified on Night Market because I don't think we ever saw Canisius even enter the courtyard into the point. Like we saw them touch point once on Gardens, but it's certainly not on Night Market.
I think opening fight they were in courtyard. I think other than that they were held at first choke, and then beyond first choke, with pretty much that little open area near the sushi bar near spawn. So yeah, it was a rough map for Canisius. Like, we're not gonna sugarcoat it. It was a rough map for Canisius. They got a few picks here and there. I will say this: during some of those over aggressive plays from Tennessee, they did capitalize. It was just not enough. You would see, oh, they got a pick onto one of the DPS. They got a pick on one of the supports. Too bad the rest of your team's dead, but you at least got a few of those picks to try and bring it back, and maybe, eventually a few of those will come together. You win a fight, and you can get the ball rolling a little bit on Hollywood. As today has been the story of defenses within the first 2 games. So depending on who we see on the defense first, that could continue. If it is Tennessee in the offense, not sure if that'll continue as much. But again, Hollywood, anything can happen, especially in second phase.
And what do you think we're likely to see here, Twin? I mean, Canisius is, in all fairness and with as much due respect, is a team that does not need to be bound by metas because they know what they're going to be walking into. They know, this is probably where we can expect to stand against this team. If you're Tennessee, if you're Canisius, what is your mindset? Do you try to, for Tennessee, hone something so you can continue to sharpen it against those tougher opponents, or perhaps for Canisius, do you go a little bit more relaxed, something a little bit more fun based? That you still see as potentially viable for the win?
I think for Tennessee, just run something that you want more practice on this map, because again, we are reaching conference tournaments, we are reaching playoffs. You want to at least iron out these skills and these compositions just more and more. As you and I both know, the more reps you're going to get in it, the better it's going to be. For Canisius, depending on how the first few fights go, let's say they're on the defense, and let's be honest, they're going to run the rush more than likely because they've ran it the entirety so far. If they get pushed away and they lose, let's say, first fight, and let's say they already give up first 2 phases, I would love to see something different happen. Even if it doesn't work, try something new, either be a different passage or anything like that. Just, you might as well try something, because maybe UTK are going to try something new. We have word that Zenith is getting subbed out. Plank is subbing in. So again, maybe you take advantage. You maybe target Plank because they're coming in cold. But again, the door is always open until it says the other team has 3 maps. So you got to always have that mental in your head.
And I know a lot of times these teams are, considered to be in competition with one another. But I think that if they go about it, like you said, if Canisius goes about it, like you said, against Tennessee, Tennessee gets to figure out, oh, hey, where do we look particularly exposed? Where can we bolster our defenses? Where can we perhaps shine out some of the cracks? And Canisius, maybe if they find those vulnerabilities, they can, take a point. They can get a couple, a couple maps on the board, maybe, if you're being really optimistic. It takes a lot of those, and it takes some real sharp eyes, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility, I'd say.
Oh, it's definitely in the realm of possibility, I think, as I think we have, or do we have a little bit of role swapping going on for UTK? As we see Noodles on the Roadhog. We'll go back to them, see if they're trolling or not. Canisius, they're going to go to the Sigma now, which I do like, especially on first point. And they're going to go over to keep Flick on the Ash. You're going to have a Melee Monster on the Junkrat. I do like the Junkrat as well. You can spam those nades in the close chokes. Yeah, UTK maybe trolling a little bit, as they're going to have... But what is going on? Plank is going to be on tank. Noodles is going to go main support tank. I think we know which side of Tennessee we're seeing. It is not the side we were going in depth about. It is let's just have fun with it.
Perhaps we got our positions confused. Maybe Tennessee is going to be the one taking a little bit of fun with it. Canisius is the one trying to get a little bit more standard, a little bit more focused here. But like you said, Melee Monster going in with this Junkrat, continuing to try to pressure down that Diva Matrix, wear down the health pool of Noodles. Although right now, the side of Canisius is giving up a lot of space here. Plank able to take down Flicka in Baby Diva mode here with the Bunny Blaster. And I think this might be a Baby Diva moment. Lucky Dog going to be pushing ahead with that flail, taking down the Junkrat. And Canisius, the walls just gotta seem to be closing in on them. Plank is really struggling to get that Diva mech in, but might be going for the remech kill. Would not be surprised. Doesn't manage to connect, though.
You're not able to connect, but they can just push right on in. Now they're like, all right, now that we can't get the remech, I can't speak. They're just able to clean up. Plank gets a few, and a good welcome into the series for them is, yeah, UTK just able to move on forward. Plank able to break the trap, and now back up. And, yeah, it is a little bit, obviously, the Tennessee's trying to have fun with it, and I don't blame them. But at this point, you know, you still got to iron out comms. You still, you know, trying to win this game. You're obviously not, you know, going to throw to go to a map 5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at least getting good practice there. And also, you know, the hubs, maybe some Widowmaker practice they can bring down the line. Canisius, I like where they're positioned, trying to stick onto the high ground. They are a little split, though, right now. Nathaniel is very low. They got split up, and they're not going to be able to get out. Already for make that 5. I was about to say 1 or 2 are already gone, and that the hook gets stuck in the wall or like on the post.
Connected through the post.
Oh, I know the Deadeye. Yeah, weird. Okay, my brain is turning to mush because of some of the things going on right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh,
that was good.
The hubs coming through. Might be off-rolling a little bit here for some of the team of Tennessee, but still not failing to connect those shots, and now going to be looking to perhaps get another shot onto the Ana, has those infra sights up, keeping eyes trained towards those long corridors. And Twin, we can already see that Canisius is looking so anemic trying to come out of this small hallway. They just got to feel the intimidation coming from UTK, it seems.
Yeah, it's basically almost like the Havana spawn where, you know, like, all right, they're either coming right side or left side. We can try and figure out where they're going from there. Shatter goes down. Transcendence is going to be used to try and keep everybody from UTK alive, and now the counterplay comes in. If we flick, though, they're on the Widow, able to get a shot through the Ant Matrix, trying to bring this back. And, that is a bunch of Zen Orbs straight to the face. And UTK, again, Canisius, they got a few picks. Not enough, though, to win the fight. And second phase will be complete.
It's interesting to me to see that these teams interact differently on an entire contextual level when you consider the fact that University of Tennessee is still playing this strong off roll. We're seeing a bunch of kills go back and forth, sure, that can be blamed to perhaps not knowing the mechanics or minutia of a particular hero, but still, we're seeing UTK run the field a lot here, and look at this, Canisius, again, putting their tanks in a very uncomfortable position. Dahubs only allowing Upstate to live by the fact that they can't land that Widowmaker shot onto the Sigma. Now Canisius, again, not going to be looking to press too far forward. They take down Plank, but that's going to be about the only breath of life they get, Twin.
Yeah, you know, they have Junkrat. I mean, here comes Riptire over the top. Going to be paired with the Flux. Gets 2. Are they able to complete anything else with it? I'm not sure, but it might have been enough. UK at least can have somewhat of a soft reset, and now going to push back in, and at least for Canisius, they can try and figure out where they want to hold.
And Canisius is defensively, we've been talking about it being kind of the pace. Canisius even here seem like they don't know exactly where they want to hold. They keep trying to hold around the corner, then they back up, then they play small room, then they back up even further. And it's not really enabling, especially Flicka on that long-range Widowmaker to make any connection. Diva Bomb's going to be going out, doesn't connect onto anything. Nope, enough cover able to be taken by Canisius, but it does force them into some uncomfortable waiting arms of some Deadeyes and the whole hog. A nice sleep onto the Diva charging right at the Ana. But Perry, you're going to be cleaning them up, making sure that that Diva does not get disturbed from her nap in the cart. Looking like it's not going to be disturbed from getting delivered to third.
Yeah, that cart going all the way through. Flick does get a compensation pick, all as they just go across the screen. 3 minutes, 11 seconds for UTK on the off rolls. It's gotta be a little scary if you're Canisius, like, they're on the off rolls, and you can still tell like the mechanics are there, the communication is there for Tennessee, even when they're potentially obviously we don't know what the comms are looking like
Yeah.
now. But you could think maybe it's a little bit more loose, I would say, than normal, and still able to get a great time. And Canisius able to win a fight on this third phase. But as you said, like they couldn't. I think it was a weird adjustment for them, but instead of this entire map, it's been all right. We're retreating, we're retreating, we're retreating, and it was like, oh, we actually, have I think everybody but one up. Where do we want to hold? And by the time they figured that out, Tennessee was pushing right back in.
It's so difficult for me as a player, as a caster, however you want to see it, to determine, in those instances, how do you improve that? How do you just improve, decision making that just takes too long? Because that's largely what I feel we're seeing out of Canisius is especially when they have those advantages, they just don't have those decisions made fast enough, not decisively enough with enough punch.
Yeah, it's just as you said, they don't have enough of a punch to some of these punches. And when Tennessee, they're throwing haymakers every single time. Like, it's like if you threw me against Tyson Fury, it's not going to end well for me. So I think that's kind of where Canisius is sitting at right now. Like, yes, we're able to land some blows, maybe make them kind of rethink a tiny bit, but it's how can you get those consistently to where, like, they're actually going to have to adapt to how you're playing.
Looks like Canisius are going to be attempting to adapt by bringing out the Reaper, still holding on Flick of the Widowmaker, and DeHub's going to be using that Symmetra to try to get the quick teleport back in. Paravir going to be looking for an optimistic hack, does get it onto Nathaniel, not upstate as they might have preferred. We saw that initial targeting coming through. Paravir now nicely nestled behind the tanks that they were just targeting, not going to be taking advantage of that, though. UTK still having a very nice time holding here. We're seeing Canisius still kind of fragment their team. The Reapers off towards Cafe, going to be jumping down, regrouping with their Sigma, regrouping with their Hog, and over the course of time, what has Canisius really achieved here? They've gotten hacked quite a bit. They've done a bunch of poke, but with the exception of Noodles going down just now, they haven't been so great at delivering these closures. As we see, these fights have taken long enough for DeHubs to almost build up that proton barrier. That turret might help them there. If they need it, they certainly seem like they might. They're going to be activating it, and now UTK has an entire barrier that Canisius might not have accounted for.
Yeah, Canisius don't know how to play against it. Nathaniel tries to back off. They're burned down by DeHubs and Basher, and now DeHubs just trying to get maybe a little bit more. Not able to get out with the clutch bubble shield coming in from Noodles, and now they can set up yet again with those pesky turrets. And Tennessee, even with this hodgepodge of a comp, right? Like, you never see Orisa Winston together. You have the Symmetra in with the Summer, which I guess that's a little bit more normal. But they're kind of just throwing stuff together like, hey, will this work? Do I think they're going to use this in the future at all? Absolutely not. But maybe you pull something from it.
I was a little bit optimistic coming in from Melee Monster to try to get the Wraith up there with the Nano. You're just immediately going to get pulled off, boofed off, whatever you prefer. And Canisius still not making a single inch of movement here. And I real quick want to talk about the composition of Tennessee. It's really great because that Sim gets stronger as these fights take longer. And we're seeing Canisius be so weak that Sim's just constantly charged up.
Yeah, the Symmetra, it just burns on Nathaniel's shield, and when Upstate Stu was on the Roadhog, they could just burn them because at that point they're like, all right, I'm just going to stick around, then we just take a breather and then back up. It just, had the hubs, their beam just went up and up and up, and it just never really settled down, and now, got a minute left. Flick is able to get a big kill onto Lucier, as I'm saying that the is going to get taken down, and now it turns into a 5v5.
That one looks like it may have been a little too anxious coming in from Melee Monster, a little bit too optimistic. If you prefer a hack onto Upstate, ensures that he's not going to be able to jump away nor drop that bubble, protect themselves. Paravir almost up with the EMP, does get enough damage to get it off. They will have it for next fight because they're not going to need it this one.
Not going to need this time around. DeHubs gets 4. They're actually going to be able to get the 5th. They're trying to burn down Nathaniel. Yes, they do. They get 5. 15 kill streak for DeHubs on the Symmetra. And sporting the LA Valiant skin, I think this might be more maps than they won all year last year. So maybe he's gonna bring more luck to the Valiant this year. But going back to this, like Canisius, you have Valk, you're gonna have Nano and Death Blossom, so there is a possibility here, but that is a huge EMP to try and cancel.
An EMP that gets 5, but that Valk comes through 4 ghosts, so still going to be able to provide a lot of healing to their team. Lucky Dog drops the sound barrier that only catches 2. Interestingly enough, University of Tennessee not going to be too reinforced by that ultimate investment. And Canisius now have numbers up. They did get a couple of kills, but they didn't really make it work for them once again. Now we hear the Death Blossom dropping down, but Basher had that Immortality Field in pocket, enabling their team to stay alive. We've gotten 1 tick on first point, but Canisius hasn't really gotten the kills to follow up with any more. A Proton Barrier goes up as well, just to ensure that things are made even harder for that Reaper. The Primal's not really going to care about it, but you can't really do too much with the Primal other than displacement. And right now, you're the one who needs to be displaced. With that, not even going to matter. University of Tennessee taking Hollywood just as quick as you like.
Yep, it takes... Canisius, again, they looked good in some of these fights, but I think Tennessee, especially this split, they're just on another level of play, right? And yes, part of it is Canisius has had a very rough season, but I think part of it as well, Tennessee's playing their best Overwatch when they need to, right? This is exactly when you want to play the best kind of Overwatch. He just walks into the team like he's VIP going to like the new showing of Morbius or something. Like he's just walking down Hollywood thinking the best thing on earth. And Canisius kind of just look at him. Like, all right, you kill us if you want. It's right now Tennessee, again, they're in flow state. And then they're beyond flow state as they're feeling themselves, as it's been evident with the hero picks. I'm more curious to see what kind of craziness we get on Volskaya more than anything at this point, because oh my god, some of these pictures time delay gets when we're going is amazing. But yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting map of Volskaya, if I had to guess.
I would say it's going to be interesting, but not in the level of interesting that I think most of us kind of hope for when we hear about, it's going to be an interesting match.
I think this is the interesting we thought was going to happen. At least with this match, we had a feeling this may happen. But you just never know. As we're going to take a very quick break, let Canisius get their bearings, and when we get back, we'll be with Volskaya, map 3.
Welcome back, folks, to just as quick of a break as we've seen the first two maps, but Twin, it's just been blazing fast.
It's been blazing fast, and somebody who plays tank all the time, like if you're Nathaniel, you go against that kind of comp, you gotta like it's very crazy, it's hectic, and we got I think a gift that that is what it feels like to be Nathaniel. As you got damage coming from the left, damage from the right, you got the other tanks going in front of you. It is not a good time to be Nathaniel in this game. He is not. Granted, again, has done some good plays, but he's just not allowed to play the game, and partially that is just main tank in 22. But as well, I think it's just Tennessee having a firm grasp on the series.
Yeah, it's nothing. I think against Canisius. I mean, we're seeing Tennessee shine even when they're switching those roles. They're changing things up. They're having fun with their own game, and part of me hopes that Canisius is coming away with at least a bit of that too.
Yeah, I think they're having. I don't know if they're having as good of a time as Tennessee is. It does help when you're winning.
True.
But I think again, there's been some moments where Canisius is like, all right, they're at least having some success in it, and they're on the attack now. We have not. Fun fact, Walter, I don't know if you've been around for the first two games today. We have not even made it to B all day. We've had full holds on point A. We have not made it to point B. Canisius going to try and change that. They're teasing the Symmetra Bastion. This is what I want to see from them. You might as well try something different, right? Might as well go TP. I'm guessing it'd be either on this middle high ground or on one of the far high grounds, to where maybe you can figure it out. What are Tennessee do? Oh no. By the way, DeHub's now on tank. Plank now on support. They're all over the place. I don't think Canisius is gonna see this as they go the opposite way around.
This is so disheartening because Canisius probably look their best when they have a plan, and this plan's about to get its back broken by these three members of Tennessee creeping around. But the quick teleport immediately onto the bunker means that now Tennessee kind of have to take an attacker stance here, but with Ghost going down early on, Canisius not going to be in the best of spots. DeHub's already going to have their shields quite worn down, that Moira having to stay far away from her team. If Canisius were savvy to that, they'd try to put a little bit more damage, but it's the floating damage orb that deals a lot of hurt to Flicka. Barovir able to deal the final blow, however, as well to Upstate. And despite what was looking like an opening for Canisius, it's not it, Chief.
Yeah, that pretty much. It just didn't happen, And again, they got a good pick early on. I think it was the Lucky Dog they took out with the teleport. But at that point, they just couldn't take advantage of their advantage. And Plank, the skill orb claims another victim. This time it is Ghost X. And now Canisius, they know what you're running. Gonna have to get maybe creative, maybe teleport. I would love to see them teleport to the left side here. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do. It looks like they're gonna still try and run it down main. But again, as long as Canisius are still trying stuff, I full credit to them.
They're not going to be trying anything with their Mercy for the next 8 seconds as Lucky Dog puts a Ghost underneath, and we can see the barrier break for Upstate, and that just gives Tennessee the right of way to run through all the way. We might see another spawn touch here. It looks like Plank's going to be going for it. Noodles tried to go for it as well, but looks like the Bastion and Baptiste just a little bit too overpowering for the support.
Yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, you're getting a little ahead of yourselves. Like, you're not going to touch the spawn doors this time. Oh, and Basher tries to get something from the Matrix and gets a fire strike to the face, and now Canisius in a 4v6. Plank just coming back. Tennessee, as of right now, no healing available, and they're going to try and take advantage. There goes the teleport. Up on the top, half the team gets grabbed, and there's the shadow over top. That is so good. Man.
That breaks my heart in perhaps one of the most literal ways here at Twin. University of Tennessee had not just a one-man advantage, two-man advantage, and they still couldn't deliver. They still just got caught up by perhaps not anticipating Tennessee.
Yeah, okay, we have the Hubs in the back. We'll have to wait and see. Is he going to try and take somebody off the edge with this pin? Like, you got to think if that... we're all kind of just waiting. Oh, never mind. TP. They're finally going to TP. Rotation's called out. by Tennessee. It's going to take them a little bit to get there. Noodles trying to meet him there and quickly runs away. And now Proton Barrier will allow Canisius set up on this back high ground.
Interestingly enough, the Proton Barrier doesn't allow for any coverage towards point, meaning that they can't contest point and get the safety. The Reinhardt gets met by Pin from Upstate, so an excellent opportunity there. Amplification Matrix as well, but Flicka drops down off the high ground while that Amplification Matrix goes up. That's a pretty big misplay. I gotta be honest, we've been generous to Canisius before, but I think my generosity ran out there.
I'm not sure what the plan was. His place as on the Moira gets 2. As you use, I don't mind using ults there. Like, that is the fight you were in at least an okay position to win. But using tank formation with Amp Matrix, as well as, well, I'm not sure why Flicka TV dropped. Like, as you said, there's no reason to drop. You have Amp Matrix right in front of you, and now Tennessee, they're just going to push ahead. They're in the back line. Who touched last second? And Jimmy Ghost in the Valkyrie form. They're going to get taken out. And Canisius, you got to hope for a miracle at this point, as you are full held on point A.
Either way, the trend will still stand. We're still not going to see the second point of Volskaya here for this third matchup between these two teams, or the third matchup of tonight, I should say. Tennessee, I don't think they're going to have any problems breaking through. The question here for me to you, Twin, will be, do they do it on first push, or do you think it takes them 1 or 2?
I'd say first push.
Okay.
Just the way Tennessee's looked, if you're Canisius, you gotta think your mentals are as low as they could probably get at this point. Series. As well as the communication's probably pretty silent at this point. You're gonna try and run the Bastion again. Flick at TV will now be on the Soldier, I should say. It can help a little bit, but Tennessee up to this point have been playing extremely well. I don't see that changing, even on the off rolls. A bold prediction, maybe Basher gets like 2 or 3 of the pickoffs on the Zen, I guess, if I'll put out a bold prediction. But if Canisius can get this down even to 3 minutes left, I think, again, progress is progress, so you can't be too picky about it.
Well, we'll see what kind of upsides they can be digging from the dirt, as now University of Tennessee going to be going up to attack. They're being pretty diligent about, scouting out the upper areas, throwing out shields so no trickery happens right out of the gate. But Canisius looking to play a little bit more standard than that. They're just going to be holding that high ground melee monster once again, as you mentioned, on that Bastion. And there's going to be the scouting arrow coming through, and we're going to see 1 kill go in favor of Canisius, but it gets immediately returned by Flicka dropping, and Basher going to be the 1 kill, or the getting the 1 kill so far in this hallway. Melee getting a second one, but Canisius, they have the upside once again, but they're not going to be looking to take advantage of it. Going to be tearing down the shield of Paravir, and somebody has to contest point. That's the important thing to remember here if you're on the side of Canisius.
Yes, somebody has to drop. I think right now, no, but they're going to try. Yeah. And now Edward is going to drop on down. Melee Monster knows they have to try and contest point. But using the window with it, and there's Basher still on the flank, trying to get a few more. Doesn't take Immort down in time, but the cleanup is still there. Everybody getting out on the action. Noodles with a few, Lucky with a few, DeHobbs with 1, and Tennessee, they finish the job. They win this match. They will improve to 12-3 on the season, and they are in a great spot entering the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, not too horrible of a record line. You got to be thinking, if you're Tennessee, not the best, not a spotless record, but as of this week, I don't think there is anybody who has a spotless record, if I'm being frank here, Twin. But overall, we're seeing that play of the game being brought to you by Paravir. Some nice Zarya work there, flexing a little bit in the most literal fashion as well.
Yeah, having a great game overall. As everybody for Tennessee, again, they did exactly what you expect a team of their caliber to do. They get here, they have a little bit of fun doing it, a little bit more than I think we thought was going to happen, but they have some fun with it, and they get the job done in the end. 3-0, 12-3, and again, they have a double header next week. Granted, both games on paper, they should win. One in the Central Conference, one out of conference play against Siena from the MAC. But you got to think, confidence has to be at a high. And sometimes having a little bit of an easier schedule entering the postseason is a good thing because you're not overly stressed of, oh, we have so many tough games and then we're in the postseason. It's just hard game every week. You can kind of just ease into it a little bit.
There's always that side. I agree with what you're saying. There's always the side of, well, we didn't really get to,
That's
do
true.
our bench presses last week. We didn't really get to exercise our mechanical muscles or our teamwork that much. So are we going to be a little bit rusty going into these very, very crucial games? Remains to be seen, but Tennessee certainly has the opportunity. And folks, speaking of Tennessee, we will be taking a quick break. Then immediately we're going to be hopping into an interview. So make sure you stick around. It'll be Basher from University of Tennessee. Hello, folks. A very quick break. That was just so we could grab Basher, bring him over to the interview room, sit him down, ask him a few questions. Basher, hello, welcome. Congratulations, my friend.
Hello, hello. Thank you.
So I want to start off. Me and Twin have been talking about it, a bit. It's getting towards the end of that season. We're looking towards that postseason. With that in mind, what's the mentality of your team like going into games or going into this particular game against Canisius?
Yeah, so our team right now is looking pretty much towards the end of the split, right? So I think this is like the second to last week.
Yep.
So we're kind of just winding down, kind of getting ready for postseason, especially like the central playoffs. So going into this game, it's a must win. We kind of want to keep our overall uh seeding right now. So we know we have to go in and we got to win. So that's kind of how we went into today's game.
Yeah, and it showed that you guys are definitely not messing around. That is for sure. As you know, entering this week, you're number 7 overall. You were number 3 in the Central. With 2 games next week, you play Southern Utah in a Central Conference game, your final one of the season. Then you play Siena. Is there anything in particular you're trying to figure out for next week, or is it just kind of going through the motion?
So we've already seen like Sienna play, right? Like we have good VODs from like their MAC tournament, so we kind of know what to expect from them. And we've seen how Southern Utah plays and their games that they've played so far. We're pretty confident going into next week. Should be business as usual. So looking to clean up with hopefully a 2-0 week to kind of solidify our standing. And I think if we actually beat Southern Utah in like 3-0, I think we actually move up to second in the Central going into the Central tournament. So
Yeah, I think you'd be either second, you'd be tied with Utah, not Utah, with Colorado,
mhm.
I believe, with one loss in the Central.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys looking at longer down the line? You said Central Conference tournament is coming up. Obviously, the Central Conference is stacked with teams. You got yourself, UT Arlington, Wichita State, Colorado.
Yeah,
What
we got
is
it
the
all.
goal? Yeah, what is the goal for the Central Conference tournament and beyond?
Yeah, so I mean, for the Central Conference tournament, we're kind of looking in, hoping to get um at least a top 2 finish in there. Of course, to try to get the better seeding going into like the final tournament. Um Obviously really there's a lot of teams to look out for. Um we're just hoping, we can prepare well going into those and then obviously again come out in one of those top 2 positions from the tournament. So
All right.
Well, I know that there will be a bunch of people rooting for you and your team here, Basher. No doubts about that from any of us at EGF. But before we let you go, Basher, do want to give you the opportunity, as always, to shout out anybody, whether it's your friends, your family, your team, the enemy team, whoever you like. The mic's yours.
yeah, so first off, shout out to my boys at UT, coming in every week, putting in the grind to get to where we are. Shout out to my boy Sam, who's watching the stream right now. He told me to wear the sunglasses, so I'm doing it for Sam. And yeah, shout out to also everyone in the Route 66 Discord. We love you guys over there. So yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. Well, words from Basher to remember. Do it for Sam. Once again, Basher, thank you, and a big congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, Twin, we are looking towards our fourth game, University of Tennessee versus Canisius, now with a nice little bow on top of it. But folks at home, don't be confused. We have a little bit of a longer break. This is a Hawaii game, so we will be seeing you in roughly about an hour, so make sure you stay tuned.